They're killing off the pub and they're coming for X. At this point, I'm just bracing for unsanctioned laughter to be classed as a hate crime on public transport. I mean, this is all for the greater good, like, obviously. Because all the places where we used to meet, speak, argue, flirt, organise, they're either being shut down, priced out, or labelled weirdly problematic. And I don't think it's that times are changing. I think it's deliberate. Because when policies consistently weaken the spaces where local people used to meet, speak, organise, it's fair to ask if freedom is being narrowed in practice, even when it's defended in language. And of course, pubs aren't banned. No, they're just being assisted suicided. And in true Labour fashion, it wasn't even in the manifesto. They just decided to make it a policy.
I state my regret.
You couldn't have memorized that?
I could not because I do not feel it.
They've been bled dry with taxes, licensing, calorie counts, curfews, noise complaints, and a £7 pint. It's not prohibition, it's suffocation, dressed up as progress. Revolutions aren't planned in boardrooms. They're planned in places where people talk freely. Taverns, coffee houses, pubs. Nobody ever launched a resistance movement from a Slack channel. And when Labour keeps passing policy after policy that makes it almost impossible to keep one running, I don't think that's just a cost of living coincidence. Because intent doesn't have to be explicit for consequences to be real. We've seen that in the political correct thinking. And now, X is kind of the version of a digital pub. It's unhinged, it's oversharing, it's the friend who starts fights in the replies. But it's also the only major platform where ordinary people can talk to each other at scale, where narratives can be challenged in real time, and communities can form without institutional permission. And that makes it dangerous. But obviously, we're talking about Grok, the AI feature that decided to commit career suicide.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yes, it was vile that Grok was generating explicit images, including content featuring minors. No excuse, full condemnation. And X responded hard. They locked Grok generating images behind full verification, ID, address, payment details, so that users are traceable and prosecutable, which is what we're supposed to want, right? Well, apparently not, because Starmer took one look and went, actually, let's just ban the whole thing. Because of course he did. He's just trying to join the glorious club of countries with stellar, exemplary freedom of speech rights like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, Myanmar, Turkmenistan, Venezuela, and Brazil. Such bastions of human rights. I mean, he's been community noted so many times, I'm shocked that he's just not started shadow banning facts. He hates that X is messy and uncontrollable because it's the one pub he can't license. Because we know this isn't about AI. It's about silence disguised as safety. If this really was about protecting women and girls, then they wouldn't be starting with the pub and X. They'd be shutting down the places where actual terror and grooming was coordinated. So if you've seen my video on the grooming gang scandal, which I will link in the description below, you'll know that I argue that what happened in these communities wasn't just abuse, it was terrorism. So why weren't those spaces investigated with this same urgency? Why weren't those networks policed? Why is it the pub gets taxed to death and X gets threatened with a ban, but entire infrastructure of exploitation were left unchecked for decades? We are told that speech must be restricted to protect women from misogyny. But the grooming gangs? They weren't misogyny, apparently. Border failures that harm women. Nope, not misogyny. Communities silenced for years. Again, wow, that's not misogyny. FGM? Nope. Definitely not misogyny. Just culturally sensitive. Calling it misogyny wouldn't have fixed these issues because the issue wasn't language. It was ideology and a total fear of naming uncomfortable truths. And of course, the AI didn't invent these prompts. People asked for them, and that's the real problem. Banning a platform won't fix that, it just hides it. Like how the grooming gang scandal wasn't stopped by ignoring it, it was just made worse. And Grok also isn't the only AI platform when you can do this. So why aren't we discussing a ban on those other platforms too? Until we deal with why so many people are comfortable creating content that degrades others, and in some cases includes children, we're not fixing anything. What Labour really want is a moral speech that's safe, brandable, and pre-approved by them. So anything human, spontaneous, chaotic, emotional just becomes risky, and risky things must be removed. So let me ask you all, what happens when you combine the slow death of pubs, villagers ballooning into anonymous estates, neighbours who never meet, platforms where speech must pass moral approval, and a political culture so polarised that saying I'm concerned sounds like I'm radical? You get isolationism. A population that doesn't gather, doesn't talk freely, doesn't trust its neighbours, and doesn't form informal networks is vastly easier to manage. You don't need to ban community. You just need to make it extinct and exhausting. You don't need to outlaw dissent, no. Just make people afraid of being misinterpreted. You don't need to stop people meeting at all, actually. Just take away any money in their pockets and give them Deliveroo, Netflix, a dopamine-deprived dating app, and a million reasons to not go outside. And then call anyone who notices it divisive.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
Boom. No revolution. What happened isn't just about free speech. It's about assembly, about collective agency, the death of civil society, and the rise of vertical dependence in its place. So no, this isn't just about the pub, and it's not just about X. It's about the erasure of discovery and safe places where people once found each other. When people can't gather, they can't organise, they can't talk, and they can't protest. And when they're isolated, they don't even realise that they're being managed. You don't have to wear a muzzle to be silenced. And if you're not sure whether your opinion is allowed, ask who benefits when you say nothing. But let me know what you think below. I mean, maybe I'm just overthinking this, but do you think this is about safety or control? As always, do have a think about liking and subscribing. It really does help me out, but I really want to know what you think. Thanks.